Guys, welcome back to another truth bump. Yep, we are getting deep into these sessions. Hope everything's been, I guess, revealing itself in the pace that you expected it and landing where it's meant to. So, guys, we're going to change gears today. I'm going to talk about authenticity because this topic is probably one of the most important ones, because if you can't get this right, well, the degree that you get this right, or if I can use the word true, then the more powerful, and how, I guess, everything else that we've spoken about up to this point won't really work unless you get this bit right. That's what I'm trying to say. Because being authentic, for obvious reasons, is a very important part. But people get authenticity sometimes wrong. And, I've been on interviews on different podcasts in the past, and people always ask the question like, if you had one advice for people, what would be the greatest advice that you could give to our listeners, our viewers? And I always say, well, that's an easy one, because the advice I'd like to share with people is the same advice that people often give to the people they care about. In fact, someone who cares about you has probably given you this very same advice, but it is the most difficult advice to actually live. It is the most difficult advice to actually be able to apply. And that advice is to be yourself. How many times has someone said to you, you just be yourself and do what makes you happy? Now, we get the do what makes you happy part, do what you love. We get that, but it's being yourself. How do people know who the self is? That's the tricky part, right? It's yes, it's more likely going to be the person that you are when you're most comfortable and you're most happy. But what I want to talk to you about is the different layers of being that self, because even the person that sometimes you are in order to be happy is really not the self. It's agenda driven in order for you to get happiness, and that happiness may be influenced by if someone will like you. And then you think to yourself, well, I'm being myself because I'm feeling happy, but you're really feeling happy because somebody likes you. So really the question is, are you being yourself, or are you being the person that you need to be in order for that person or the world to like you? So that's the can I want to open up here, right? Because it's, authenticity, it's a word that's loosely thrown around, and we can obviously grasp the importance of being authentic, but I think it takes great level of work on yourself to realize what authenticity really is. It's not just someone can just go, oh yeah, I'm authentic. I'm authentic. How do you know you're authentic? Because this is who I am, right? Well, there's layers of that, isn't there? There's layers of who you are. It's if who you are is what you're perceiving to be, what you're seeing in the mirror, and what you're experiencing yourself as this physical being, then that physical being itself is riddled with agendas of who you need to be in order for you to fit in this body, in this society, in this world. So it's there's so many layers of who you really are. In a podcast recording, which is part of this coaching app, hopefully it still is part of this coaching app, called When Love Becomes Real. That's probably the deepest level of authenticity that someone can realize for themselves. And, I like that word real. So I'm going to use that word real here as we continue, because authenticity, it's I like real. I've given it an acronym just to help you and help myself to really support what real really is. For me, real is remembering everything as love. REAL, remembering everything as love. And you know what I love about that is you can't drive yourself to become authentic. It's not a skill or a technique. It's not a tool that we use. It's not a journey. It's not a path that we take in order to be authentic. If anything, the path that you're taking is letting go of all the things that you're being inauthentic about and that you weren't aware about. And you're realizing, I've took this path and I became authentic. But really, authentic or real is already who you are. It's not someone you're becoming. You're just letting go of all the things that you thought you need to be, all the things you thought you need to do in order for you to be authentic. But it's none of those things. It's all the things that you thought you need to do and all the things that you thought you need to be is a measure that you have grasped from the external. It's like, well, who do I need to be in order to fit in? What do I need to do in order to feel authentic? Who do I need to be in order to feel authentic? And it's none of that. Authenticity is like an onion, and we remove layers of the onion until you get to the center. Now, the center's always been there. It's not something that you developed. It's not something that you built, you created. It's always been there. It's just at the center of the onion. At the center of that's the only example I've got for you right now. But the center is who you are, and it's always been there. It's not something you developed. And all we're doing on the path or on our journey is just removing the layers of the onion. And each layer is something that you thought you needed to do, something you thought you needed to be, a person that you thought you needed to be in order to be authentic. And, it's like, so that advice that, that is spoken, that I share, which is, be yourself or be authentic, there's so many layers to that because, for someone especially, I mean, we're talking about here self-awareness. For someone who is not aware, is not self-aware, the only version of themselves that they are familiar of who they are is what they see in the mirror. And they think to themselves, well, this is who I am. The only version of themselves they can experience is the physical version. And well, that's not the complete version of you, is it? Because we're not just physical beings. They say we're not human beings. We're not human beings. Sorry, they say we're not spiritual. So we're not human beings having a spiritual experience. We're spiritual beings having a human experience. Well, the spirit or the non-physical, the energy, who is that? You can't disregard that. So when we say, well, I know who I am, this is who I am. I'm Amir. I am this identity. I am an aerobatic pilot. I'm also an intuitive coach and mindset coach and blah, blah. It's a very small part of who I am. It's like, you driving your car and then you think to yourself, I'm the car. Well, you're not. The car is something you drive. It's your vehicle. That's not who you are. You're the person driving that car. Well, who's the person? Who's the one? Who's the the being that is driving this body? So it's very limited, probably the word is, to look at this and go, well, this is who I am. I am Amir. I earn this much money. I have these goals and these dreams, and this is I'm a father. Yes, you are, and that's a very small part of who you are. So that's I guess a little introduction for us to, you're probably picking up what I'm putting down now and going, okay, well, there is far more to this. So Probably the most important question from a coaching perspective that I can leave with you is, who are you trying to be authentic for? So, you might want to reflect on that a little bit and ask yourself, and what I mean, who are you trying to be authentic for? So much of us wanting to be authentic is actually not for us. And that's the challenge right there. And when I say it's not for us, well, who's it for? It's for someone else to think I'm authentic. It's for the ideal that being authentic is being good. That it means it fits into the identity of who you are. Well, I'm a spiritual person, so it's being authentic. Or I'm a father, or I'm a mother, I'm a community leader or a community member. It's important for me to be authentic. So, again, that's not for you. That's for you to fit in. Fit into what? The identity with your physical reality. It's not the complete picture. There's something that's far greater than that can only be connected to when you ask or realize what authenticity is for you. And sometimes people might think, well, geez, this is really, you really need to be selfish here. Well, it really is, like I've mentioned many times before, being selfless, because you have to remove yourself from the self, if you like. Remove yourself from the self. That's a bit weird, but yeah, you need to remove yourself from the identity, from the self, in order for you to see what's real for you. So just asking yourself that question, I think, and I guess authenticity really requires you to, I like to call it, give yourself an honesty session. Like really be honest with yourself. Be honest. Sit down and don't just give the answer in order to avoid some emptiness or some feelings or emotions that or uncertainty that you may be faced with. Who are you being authentic for? Okay, so ask yourself that question, because if it's real, if it's the real you, right? Authenticity is already there. You're not trying to do something in order to be authentic. If it's the real you, if you can just stop, and I'll just stop with you for a sec, and ask yourself, who am I as the real me? And drop into a connection or a realization to who you are as the real. The real is already authentic. It's not trying to do something in order to fit in. It's not trying to do something in order to be authentic. It's not trying to not do something in order to be authentic. It already is authentic. So I've left with you in this lesson also the acronym REAL. Remembering everything as love. I say remembering because, again, when it comes to your truth or to what is real or what is true for you, however you want to fit that in your understanding, you're not learning any of this. You're remembering it. when in the WTF, I ask people, and I share that sometimes when I'm sharing what I'm sharing, it's almost like you're realizing, or feels like, it feels like somehow you know it. Like I share things, and I speak from the space. This is the part where I talk about, don't listen to my words. Instead, listen to the words, or listen to where the words are forming from. Listen to the space where the words are coming from. And somewhere, if you found yourself doing that, which means you're being super present to what the words or what's been expressed, it feels like somehow you already knew it. And the truth is, you already do. But there's layers and layers. There's onion layers that you've picked up through your upbringing, through your education, through the matrix, right? And you thought that this is who you are and this is what you need to maintain. But somewhere deep inside, you already know this. It really is like it's not knowledge that you're acquiring. It's a realization. And it feels like you are remembering this. It feels familiar. So many of the things that I share, people will say to me, it feels familiar. Like I somewhere I had a dream about it, or somewhere I know this. It's like it's come back to me, or I've come back to it. And that's why I love the word real. And I love that acronym, because you're remembering everything as love. And of course, everything is love unless you have a judgment about it. Love is all there is. All else is your judgment of what is what I've often said. So, and since we're talking about love, I will throw in one more quote from, this one's from Rumi. Obviously, you guys know I'm a fan of Rumi. I love his quotes. And Rumi, the great Persian poet, his quote about love, he says, "Our task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within ourselves that we have built against it." Because you don't find love. You've already got it. I'll say this again, it's beautiful. Our task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within ourselves that we have built against it. What are those barriers? They're the layers of the onion that I've just talked to you guys about. The love is already there. Your task is not to seek for it. And it's definitely not to seek for it outside. It's within itself. Our task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within ourselves that we have built against it. So, this is, what I'm sharing here with you guys. I truly mean that. You already know this. There's a part of you, if I could say that, because some part of you goes, I don't know this. It sounds great. I don't know. But there's a part of you that is not limited to your physical reality. Like I've said before, we are not human beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. So there is a part of you that, it's more of an awareness. It's more of a knowing. And look, who am I talking to? You guys are aware of this. You're deep into this work, but you're aware of that. So it's and that part of you, right, is already whole. It's already complete. Even expanding your consciousness or expanding your awareness. I've spoken about this in previous truth bumps. I say to you, the truth is you don't expand your awareness, right? The truth is you expand your what do I say in those truth bumps? You become aware of your expandedness. You're not expanding, because the truth is you already expanded. The love is already there. The infinite possibilities is already there. You've just built layers within yourself against it. So if you take that word love and turn it to infinity, which is actually the same thing, our task is not to seek for infinity, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within ourselves we have built against it. It's already there. It already exists. Okay? So can you guys feel me now about the depth or the levels of authenticity? Like, it's like, there is being authentic, and then I guess I like to call it there's being real, remembering everything as love. Like, and this is in my little lunchbox, if you like. But in my little lunchbox, real is the level. There's you being authentic, and yes, there is being authentic, and then there is you being real. And by being real, I mean the real you. The real you. The real you is infinite. The real you is love. Like, I'm sorry, there's nothing else to do there once you realize the real you. It's if anything, life becomes an expression of the real you, not a journey or a pursuit of you creating or finding the real you. So, this is something close to my heart, when we're talking about being authentic and being real. But look, just to bring it a little bit, touch base on the surface level as well. If you wanted to kind of check in with yourself to see that, you are being authentic, it's really quite simple, because authenticity is basically an open energy. It's you being open and you being free of an agenda. Okay, we speak about love quite often. Love doesn't have an agenda. Love doesn't have a reason. Love, here we go, doesn't feel sorry. There is so many times in our life that, yep, we're being authentic. Yep, I'm being myself. But then I feel sorry for someone, or I feel sorry for myself even, right? But then when I feel sorry for myself or somebody, I change who I am. So sometimes I then will do something or be someone because I feel sorry for my friend, let's say. I then change myself in order to accompany, or what's the word I'm looking for? Accommodate the person, the individual, the group that I feel sorry for. This is a big one for me, because I often feel sorry for someone, and it's something that I've had to continuously work on, and realizing when I felt sorry for them, I then would do or be what I thought was loving, and all I was doing was accommodating what I felt sorry for. It was accommodating my weakness, because what I felt sorry for in them was something that I hadn't yet become complete with. I mean, the mirror thing, the reflection. And I felt and I thought to myself, well, I feel sorry for them, so I'm going to help them, let's say. Because I was doing the loving thing. And of course, to me, that was being authentic. How many layers do you want to take away here today? And, there is so many times in my life that I wasn't myself, but I thought I was doing the loving thing. But here's the thing. Love doesn't feel sorry. Love just loves. And so you think to yourself, well, what do you mean you don't feel sorry? Well, I mean, let's just talk about something that might be relatable for you guys. Like sometimes I would have, coaching clients and, they've got these stories and I want to help them through their stories. And at the beginning, I would feel sorry for them, whether it was their financial struggle, their emotional pain, or what happened to them in the past. And I would feel sorry for them and I would intend to accommodate where they were. And just to give you a reference point of how that changed when I no longer felt sorry for them, because when I say I no longer felt sorry for them, it almost sounds like, well, you're not very loving, right? But when I no longer felt sorry for them, I no longer felt that where they are, who they are, and what they're experiencing is wrong. Because that's exactly where they're meant to be. Now, do they need to stay there? Do they need to, repeat that same pattern? Well, that's entirely up to them. It's not up to me. It's entirely up to them. I stopped feeling sorry for my clients and I stopped trying to fix, improve, or change my clients. And that's when I became truly a transformational coach. When I stopped trying to fix, improve, or change, or get rid of something in order to help them. That's one reference point, if I may give that to you. But I would just highlight what I've said to you again. Love doesn't have an agenda. So when you have an agenda, I can almost guarantee you're not being yourself. The agenda is, I don't know, to be accepted within this community. The agenda is to succeed and achieve your goals. Oh, really, Amir? Are you telling me? I'm just saying that if you're fixated and your attention is on the goals, which is, by the way, the future, that then you're always being the person that you think you need to be in order to achieve those goals. Like people say, this is probably not exactly what I'm saying, but this is another reference point for you. The whole fake it till you make it. Like, you hear that in the personal development world, people just like, just fake it till you make it. It'll work out. Sure, right? It'll work out maybe temporarily. But the problem with that is you're not being yourself. So when you accomplished whatever it is that you accomplished, you know that you didn't accomplish it. You now need to be the fake you in order for you to continue to accomplish or maintain or keep whatever it is that you accomplished. Whether it was likes, money, success, whatever it was. For me, I'd rather be myself and be free to be myself. And when and if I accomplish something in my life, I know it's because of who I am, not because of who I thought I needed to be. I'm now free to continue to be who I am rather than become a slave to being the person that I thought I needed to be in order for me to continue to receive and accomplish those results. That's my idea, my shares about fake it till you make it. You don't need to fake it till you make it. You need to be yourself, and you need to be open and be open to be yourself and be open to how that unfolds. What unfolds from you being yourself. So, yeah, I mean, it's how many layers do we want to keep taking away from this? But all these layers that or reference points that I'm sharing with you today comes from me having that realization that, well, love doesn't feel sorry. Love loves. Love doesn't have an agenda. Love doesn't have a reason. Like when you have a realization and that actually drops in, you can have your own pondering on this and realize what I'm sharing with you guys right now for yourself. Love is now. It's not for the future. Love has no reason for its love. Love has no agenda. And love doesn't feel sorry. It just loves. Now I'm free to love the person that I used to feel sorry for. I'm accommodating their weakness because they're reflecting my weakness. So I'm accommodating that weakness rather than loving them for who they are, for where they are. Our greatest power is love. Love is what heals. If you're into healing, you don't accommodate their weakness. You love them for where they are. And to love them for they are, you can't feel sorry. I'll share with you a story. I was delivering a live event. I can't remember which city it was. Maybe it was in Sydney, that event. It was the WTF. And I'm delivering this live event. And a woman puts her hand up. And she ended up becoming a coaching client. So I believe this happened in a one-to-one. And she says to me, I've got this issue and I can't resolve. And I said, well, tell me about it. She says, well, I'm actually a lawyer and I represent children who've been abused. I'm like, wow, amazing. And she goes, but I'm also a healer. And I said, oh, wow, that's amazing. She goes, and I do my healing without them knowing. So when I'm sitting down to represent the children, I'm actually doing healing at the same time. I'm like, wow, that's really good. She goes, well, here's the problem though. There's one child I can feel I'm not healing. I can feel, my energy is not being passed on to that child. And I'll say, well, what's the case? What tell me about the child. And she starts telling me about the child and what this child has actually been through. And you can feel her energy just close up and almost, get agitated and angry maybe slightly. And she tells me the story and I said to her, but here lies the problem. You're trying to heal someone that you feel sorry for. And she's like, yeah, I get that. But did you just hear the story that this child has been through? I just shared with you the story, which I won't share with you guys right now. But how could you not feel sorry for them? And I said, I get it, right? But the fact that you feel sorry for them, it immediately blocks you from you being able to heal, because our greatest force to heal is love. And you're no longer loving that child. You're feeling sorry for that child. And love doesn't feel sorry. And she got that. And she was like, wow. And just had this huge realization. Never heard back from her though. So I don't know what happened, if she actually went and healed that person or what. But it was a one-off coaching session. But I've got so many other reference points I could share with you. But from different coaching clients. But right now, I think this is more for you just to take away and ask yourself this question: who am I being authentic for? What? Who? Are you being authentic for your goals? Because then if you're being authentic, then it will happen. Are you being authentic so you can manifest? Right? Or are you being authentic because it's what's real? It's the real you. And I mean, I don't even wish that for you. I love that for you. Because in that moment, when you've dropped into the real you, nothing matters then. The future, your goals, the past, what someone would think of you, it just all melts away. Because it's already there. You already have it. I mean, it's the ultimate freedom. Most people are trying to do something, trying to be the person they need to be, trying to accomplish the things they need to accomplish in order for them to be free, not realizing that freedom is actually in who you are. And as Rumi says, if we can change the word from love to freedom, our task is not to seek freedom, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within ourselves that we have built against it. That's it right there. Freedom is not going to come from what you've accomplished in the future or who you've become. Yes, who you've become, but not who you're becoming. But when I say who you become, it's that core. It's freedom or love is actually here. It's not something you need to do. It's not something that you need to deserve. You already deserve it. If anything, it's about undoing things, undoing all the things that you thought, I need to do this in order for me to be loved. I need to do this in order for me to feel freedom. No, it's if anything, it's removing those layers and realizing, I already do feel free. I am free. I am free right now. Like having that realization, I am loved. I already love myself. Here I am thinking, I thought to myself, I need to love myself. Why would love need to love itself? The only part of you that needs to love itself is the part of you that lacks love. And I get it. And I understand. It is a supportive process for you to sit in front of the mirror and tell yourself that you love yourself. But if you drop in deeper into who you are, and again, I'll tell you Rumi's quote one more time. Our task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within ourselves that we have built against it. If you can remove those barriers that you have built against it, that lies within yourself, love is already there. Why would love need to love itself? So, my friends, there is some pondering, some contemplation for you after this session. But it starts with that question: who am I trying to be authentic for? And when you can see and find that you're trying to be authentic for yourself, then you can remove some layers as we continue doing the work with yourself, and you realize that you no longer need to try to be authentic. As you realize the real love, as you realize the real you, you are being authentic. You're not trying to be authentic. It's not what you do that measures authenticity. It's not what people think of you, whether they think you're authentic or not. It has nothing to do with it. Because at the moment, the authenticity that so many people on their journey are seeking for is actually not for themselves, but it's for others. It's for others to perceive that they are authentic. They want to be authentic. So then others will say, you're authentic. And that's a very big hidden agenda, which some don't even realize that they have. So I wish you some awesome contemplation. Sit down, ponder it for yourself. Ask yourself the question, who am I being authentic for? And every time you realize that you're being a certain way because you have an agenda, because I will be liked, because people will accept me, because I will be loved, because I won't be rejected. I mean, I feel to do this, but I'm not going to do it because I don't want to be rejected. So then you're being a version of yourself that is not authentic. Look for the agendas. Don't judge yourself, because judgment is what closes love up. It blocks love. Okay? Just observe. Notice the agendas that you have. You can't be authentic if you have an agenda. Love doesn't have an agenda. You can't be authentic if you feel sorry for someone. That was my most difficult hurdle. That is the most difficult one. Especially if you thought to yourself as you're a very loving person, right? Love doesn't feel sorry. Yeah, so you can't be authentic if you have an agenda. You can't be authentic if you feel sorry. And look for when you have reasons for, look, the reasons is a little bit tricky, because what happens is you find something that you love and it has no reason, but then you will find many reasons in the story of why you love it. And sometimes we can lose the real love because, we give you an example. You might say, let's say I love being a coach, and at the moment I've got a schedule. I'm going and starting to do talks again, live talks. Limitless is the talk that we are kicking off. And, I've got Sydney I'm speaking in, and then I'm going 2 weeks later to Los Angeles. And then after that, we're going to Lisbon, Portugal to do these events. And I could say, I love what I do because I get to travel. That's a reason, right? No, go back to why I do what I do. Why? Go back to the beginning. Go back to the core, the feeling of why I do what I do. That's what I'm asking you to do. Okay? So if I go back to that, it's different. It's not about traveling. No, I'm not saying I don't enjoy traveling, but if I start to get fixated on the traveling, then I start to think, I want to run another event because I want to travel. That's where you start to lose the real love, because now you're focused on the agenda or the reason, and you're no longer following the real love. You're following the reason. So it's just be aware of that. So be aware. The moment you bring reason into it, you're basically putting power into something. When it's the real love, the power is in you. The power is in the real you. The power is in the moment. As that power, as that energy manifests into the story, your attention could look at all the shimmering diamonds, as I like to call it, and right there, they become the reasons. And look, the shimmering diamonds are nice, okay? But that's not why you do what you do. And if you confuse yourself and think to yourself, that's why I do what I do, well, maybe I can make more money now. Well, this last event tour made me this much money. Well, maybe we'll do a bigger event so we can make more money. That's not why you do it. It doesn't mean you won't make money. But now if you've put your attention on that, you put your attention on the reason, on the agenda. Whether the agenda is hidden or not, it doesn't matter, right? It's no longer the real love. Stay in the moment. Stay in you. Bring your attention to yourself. Stay with the feeling. Stay with the real you. real. Remember everything as love. See you guys next session.